Nicaragua, Salvador. Oh, welcome to episode 0 of the Infinipoop podcast, where we talk about the heyday of poop and the good old pooping days. And today we are doing, as I just said, episode 0, and it's really great. We're really excited to be here. We're just testing the waters. We are live if anybody finds us, and that is really exciting to be live and out there.
Baby. Yeah. Welcome to welcome back. Actually, welcome back to this episode. The last few episodes that we've done have been fantastic. If you haven't caught them, request them, and we'll send them to you. They were demonetized and deleted.
Yeah.
So just do a request, send us, like us, subscribe us, send me love letters, request our mailing address.
Yeah.
We prefer letters in the mail, actually. Smokestacks. Preferably.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing like a good old-fashioned handwritten letter. It's something they don't do anymore.
Or a handshake. How about a handshake, a pat on the back, and a how do you do?
Or a money order.
You know what? Put that through some ones and zeros and send that to me. Okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah, back to the Poopcast. Welcome. This is the Infinipoop cast, and we just want to say thank you. Thank you for visiting and looking at us. We all live in a yellow submarine, and sometimes somebody's got to shovel the shit, and somebody's got to clean the pipes, and it's a teamwork operation.
Yes, absolutely, and I hope I don't.
So we decided that we would come out of the closet and remove the curtain, and we thought long and hard about it. Actually, no, we didn't fucking think about it really. This is a test. Actually, we're just testing this system out, but yeah. Don't get the censors on our asses, all right? Don't say demonetization or anything like that. There are. Okay, so like, you know how George Carlin has the 7 fucking curse words, the blah, 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 blah. Everybody's seen it, love it, beautiful.
Okay.
Fucking
okay.
Poetry. Well, YouTube has some non-broadcastable things as well. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm aware of the system, but I don't know the words. But I'm not going to test it either. You know what I mean? So we'll try not to talk about that.
Yeah, that you don't really want to talk about that. You don't want to get into that.
No, and this is weird, really. I mean, this whole thing, it just doesn't feel natural to me.
Yeah.
But we'll just tough it out. So tonight, for you on this newest episode, we actually are 2 poopers from back in the day. So we're not trying to steal your scene or anything like that. We're actually fans of the scene that just was really motivated to create some art. And we just thought, I don't know, let's just...
yeah, I think that's pretty common knowledge. I mean, if somebody is actually going to do a podcast about poops, for real, they probably are familiar with the poop world in some way. I doubt like a Johnny Come Lately is just going to say, poops, I'm going to do a podcast about that, and they don't even know it. That's not going to happen.
No, that would
not be scared.
That would never happen. I couldn't imagine. I sense the irony actually of that statement. What
of an impooster?
Of a 14-year-old kid that says, I'm going to do a poop podcast. But he just saw his first poop, you know, this morning from his friend on the bus. And he has these, you know, dreams of these illusions of grandeur. Yeah, you know, he's going to be the best pooper now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, okay, why this thought was funny. Maybe he imagined the same thing I did. This 14-year-old kid, he sees a poop and he's just into it, and he finds out like kids do this themselves. They edit this material themselves. It's possible. And he just gets it in the head. I'm going to rise to the top of the poop game. And he just gets so into it. He's like Eminem in 8 Mile, but for poops. He's like on the bus, like bobbing his head, like writing down ideas for poops. He's like, man, he's wearing his hoodie. I'm tough. I'm the toughest pooper. I'm going to win the poop battle. I'm going to win the poop battle, man. Like, why is Rabbit so serious? Rabbit's a pooper, man. Rabbit poop. He's rabbit poop. No, that's not going to happen.
So when I talk, is it switching over to me? It doesn't look like it is. Oh, no. Oh, it is. It just takes its dandiest little time. I just wanted to make sure that the system was functioning as intended, because I didn't know if it was. Okay, sorry for the interruption. No, that was a fantastic story, by the way. Because that is kind of the way it is, you know, when you're in a scene, it's brand fucking new. You see this thing, and you know, there's not a lot of competition. There's a lot of brilliant art, right, already, but it's not saturated, and you know, you could easily feel like Eminem felt, you know.
Yeah, I'd say less so now.
Yeah,
I've been out of the scene a lot, actually.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for God's sake, I had to get old.
I'm not in the scene. No disrespect to the scene, but yeah, time moves on.
But in the day that I was in the scene, there was kind of that competitive nature. You wanted the popular poop. You wanted to fight for the popular poop, as it were.
Yeah, I could see that fight in you. I can see that drive, that you feasted for it. You definitely wanted to attain some kind of beauty, I guess, you know, the same way an artist, you know, a Renaissance artist is respected as an artist.
In a way, I was that moody 14-year-old kid, but the sad part is I was in my late 20s.
There's no shame in that, man. There's no shame in that. I mean, look, you know, I don't know. I felt like the scene was very punk. It was, and I've talked with you about this personally, just kind of recently, that the pooper scene was, to me, we found out about it in 2007, 8, or 9 or something, and when I saw the scene, I felt like it was the video media equivalent of the music equivalent of punk rock. Just a bunch of kids picking up instruments and making noise and trying to make art, trying to do something funny, trying to, you know, say fuck you mom, and, you know, just fucking, you know, giving the finger to the society. And in a way, it was also directly related to just how YouTube to YouTube, you know, YouTube was getting a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And you know, the kids were pushing the limits to see what was available, what were you actually able to do on this platform, and it be constituted as art. And I don't know, man, I just sensed a lot of energy in the scene, You know, just the material itself, the video material itself just seemed to have it just seemed to open up like a new door, something that we hadn't seen in a long time. There's just this raw energy to it that really interested me personally. And you know, I remember that you were using Microsoft's Windows Movie Maker or something.
Yeah.
And
the XP variant, one of the best movie maker variants there ever was.
But you were interested in this style, and you turned me on to it. It's possible that I've seen some of this stuff before, and we kind of personally, just me and you, we've already discussed on previous podcasts on this channel some kind of chronology of the poop. You know, where did the poop really start? Who are some of the earliest poopers? Even the ones that would never consider themselves, oh, we're poopers. You know what I mean? Like the poopers are like YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got people with shows and they don't consider themselves YouTubers. And then you got people with YouTube accounts and they do consider themselves YouTubers. But following that through, you know, Max Headroom and just the weird glitchy behaviors and stuff that you see that are reminiscent in these YouTube poops. And so, you know, I thought, oh, fuck, no, we can make this. We could do this. We could make some of this shit.
Yeah. And we can. And this is something I was saying earlier. I don't know if you heard me, if you were away. But pooping is a real good place to get started if you want to make something. Just because it's very simple. You find a video of something, you find an editor, and you make something and you publish it. It's not intensive of production value. You don't need a camera. You don't even really need a script. You can kind of freestyle it as you go and just kind of have fun, like fucking up the video and making like little stutters and stuff. And you think that was kind of cool that you did that and you publish it. And it's just a way to get your toe in the water of publishing creative stuff.
Yeah. It's true because there weren't a lot of options
at first. You know, you see this YouTube, this structure, which is built around videos, uploading videos and stuff. And the first thought is, you know, how do you create content? And I mean, these are sort of like back in the day when all of our machines were really like not powerful. You know what I mean? For $100, you can't really afford a system that's going to be able to do really great video editing and stuff. And so creating content back in the day, it just wasn't easy. And you see this structure, this YouTube, and you see the videos that were being uploaded at the time, and you know, a lot of scenes from movies were being uploaded. And there were a lot of you know, actual content holders that were uploading videos, and then of course you have like home videos. You know, people were putting home videos on there, and it's like, well, shit, like we're just kind of some kids, and actually we don't have any skill in this field at all, but we have this. Like we had this energy inside of us. Like we wanted to make something. It didn't matter. And we couldn't create the content ourselves because, you know, like we don't have that money backing and shit like that. And so what do? I mean, you go on to like eBaum's world, you download like some video over there, you know, you wait like an hour for a little video to download, and then once you have it on your machine, and of course, you know, there was like Napster and stuff back in the day, and then there was like, you know, Juarez and stuff like that. And so you could get your hands on some content, but the idea then at that point was you can create some content.
Yeah.
And so you grab some clips, you grab some shit, and you put it on a timeline, and you just start chopping it up. And now you can create content too. Is kind of far out, really. You know, working on these really slow machines, the rendering was just. I mean, you know, it's the one thing that, like, when you're watching the poops, you just don't realize like how long, you know, it can take.
Oh my God. And look, on the, you know, you said I can talk about Chew, right? Maybe.
Oh, dude, you can talk about whatever you want to me.
Okay, great, because this goes into what you were talking about, taking so long with renders. Because you go on some threads with Chew, and these were kind of the last threads that I liked on Chew because they were just normal. The technical advice threads.
Kind of before you just like moved on, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and technical advice threads. It's people asking, like, they'll even show a poop and it's be like, how do I do this effect? And I have this program, and anybody who knows this program can pipe in and give me an answer. And you'll get some people, the rendering, like they'll have, you know, a slow machine, an hour or two render for maybe a 5-minute piece.
Yep.
And something is off where the render stops at a certain point and it crashes. So you're like an hour into what would be a 2-hour render, and it gets to this frame.
Yes.
And you have to figure out
overload, and the whole fucking thing crashes. And oh, totally. We would have to. We ran into this numerous times. I remember where I'd have to render sections of the video, depending on how much pooping I was doing on the content.
Yeah.
Because of the machines, you know, $100 machine, it only went so far, and so you gotta render. But that's just the way we always did it too. Because I mean, I wasn't always pooping. I told you before, like, I was kind of already doing some video editing and stuff, and I was working on, like, you know, just like little movies and stuff like this. And you know, with Frank or, you know, Francis and I videoed some stuff because, like, he was more into 3D rendering and shit like that. And so him and I started a little fucking project factory in 2006. And we would just sit in the room and we would just like work on some editing and stuff. That's actually when we made that dinosaur video that we were working on. And and the machines were just horrible, you know. I mean, he had an awesome video card in his machine. He had a couple other machines sitting there, but even back then, you had to like render these 30-second clips, and then then get that render and then put it all together as one seamless clip so that you could render a full video. But yeah, especially doing the pooping stuff, man, we were running into that because, you know, doing effects and stuff. And I mean, in all honesty, our poops are different. Like, right, Patrick? I mean,
yeah,
you went actually much more traditional than I did. When I saw what was going on in the pooposphere, I thought, wow, this is really fucking cool. But I had my own agenda of sorts. Like, I wanted to try to tell a story, or like I wanted to try to tell a different story using this fucking punk rock style of editing, and take content that I personally loved and adored, and re-edit it into just a mess of something that could maybe be funny to somebody, to myself, to you, you know what I mean? And but I would always get lost though, Patrick. Like, honestly, like I would always get lost in the fucking I get lost in the poop, man, honestly, because I'm trying to do these story poops where I tell a different story with the material. And you were always keeping me on the comedy train. Like every time I'd get with you, like it was like, oh dude, you know, you just had a comedic talent. And I just wanted to tell like a different story. And you know, at times I would think, what would you do in this? What would you do with this? But it was so easy for me to get lost in the content while I'm editing. I mean, you know, sometimes you're editing this little slice of like less than a second, and it's like a weird time warp. You can like slip into a fucking time warp while you're editing a poop. And I just remember, I don't know, man. I just remember I had these really deep and dark feelings when I was editing and finished the Drop Dead Freddy poop, my poop story. I fucking just like, I was just in a dark place at the time, man. And I'm working on this poop, and like it was sort of sucking the life out of me. Like I could feel the art itself sucking the life out of me. And I wanted to finish this poop, but but it wasn't the poop. It wasn't the poop's fault. It was just like in my own state of mind, you know, where I was at the time. You know?
Wow. And look, you know, I wasn't doing good at that time, but it was a totally different effect for me. Like the poop was keeping me alive. You know, just it was something to do instead of just like sitting around and being in this situation, you know. Well, I got to slowly figure out a way to work my way out of it. With that idle time, like I have something to do. I can wake up and I can get to work on something, even if it's a fucking poop, and who cares? And I think in some of my poops, you can see that, just that desire for motivation. It was the exact opposite effect. In the dark time, it was like, this is where the light is coming out. In the poop. You know, and if I can finish this poop and make it work, you know, that's an accomplishment. Look, I accomplished something. I have a file to show for my work. I have a poop. Oh man, he is just walking away right now. I don't think he disagreed with what I said or anything. He's just getting something. It's all, ooh, look at them tits. Look at them tits. Oh boy. I think he's doing a live show. You can tip 20 tokens to see the tits again, is what you can do.
No,
and we're back.
I don't think they saw me, because the video, it'll switch around. It switches back and forth.
Oh, well, good thing I was talking then.
Yeah, they didn't see me. I don't quite understand the video switching back and forth thing. I think that there's probably some kind of controller or something in here that selects, you know what it is? It's like it's the response or something. So it's still sticking on you right now, even though I'm talking.
Yeah, quite a lag in it. See, because I thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if it kept it in that little window? Yeah, like it switched to the guy who was talking, but you're still active in the little window on the bottom, because this is what we see in our preview. And that would be nice.
Yeah. So you know, the pooping thing. I mean, look. I did. I don't know, man. I just wanted to be able to express myself through, you know, through the means of the poop. It was, for me, it was like a new medium uh, to express myself through. And I'm kind of a artist of sorts, and I like to make music. I've liked to make music for a long time, and I I I I own some great gear. You know what I mean? I think it was 2007 when I said, oh shit, man. Everything's so fucking digital. It's all digital. It's all a fucking plug-in. It's all a fucking snap-in. It's all a fucking program. It's all fucking computerized. Everything was so, I don't know, man. And I just liked having an instrument in my hand. So I started to get some gear again and kind of get some music gear. So so that's the thing. Like I saw the pooping thing as just a way to express myself, like writing music or something. And so I kind of had this focus from the very beginning on music in the poop. So it was sort of a big deal with all of the poops that I wrote, or that I developed with you. I always had this kind of like focus, like, dude, it's gotta have fucking just music in it, like, and music not only that's just good for the scene, but music that is like kind of meaningful to something that means something to me. Uh, of course, I thought, your usage of music was in order to push comedy, and
it was all serving the poop for me. Yeah. I got so into it.
Yeah, no, I always loved it. Really, I always loved it because your placement was just right, and it would get gritty, and you knew, like, I don't know, you had these comedy chops, like you knew when to use what, and you had a good idea of where to go in the culture, where to go, what to get, and where to put it. And for me, it was just like, I don't know, man. I was more like on like a more, I think I was more on an emotional level, really, with how I was feeling about the whole thing. And so when we collaborated, we brought this thing together,
Yeah, and that reminds me of after you got out of the pooping scene and I was still lingering, I was still hanging out in the forums, I caught somebody actually did like a little write-up of me, a little review. And he commented on the same things you just did, but negatively. He didn't like how I had so much structure. And I still remember this quote so many years on. He said I was like a door on a hinge. He's like a door on a hinge. Like, oh my God.
Like a door on a hinge.
Yes.
This was you were reviewed. You actually got reviewed, and so okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, look, how are you gonna have a fucking door? How are you gonna have a fucking door?
I know. It was some kind of weird metaphor simile. When he was getting into, there's too much structure. It's too much like, and it's too much like just an attempt at a meme, and he's trying too hard to do a story poop, and there's not enough like glitchy editing. There's not enough of the usual stuff, the ear rape, the kind of the color spam and the shit like that. and he saw there was structure and it bothered him. It wasn't the usual poop he was used to.
I have to say that you're right. You know what? Because it's the way we approach the poop. It's funny that you bring up the structure. I never knew that you were criticized for the structure. When I go back and I watch some of our art, it's so weird to watch it, because what's weird about it is that, like, they have to understand the machines that we were using to do this art. And yeah, it's like the poop it got really ear rapey, color wheels and shit. And like, I'm fucking colorblind as it is, and so I liked what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really liked what they were doing with the ear rape. I thought it was fucking hilarious. And again, just so punk. It just had that fucking raw energy. And the thing they were doing with the colors, the same fucking thing. I mean, they're doing this fucking amazing shit. It's great to watch. But yeah, I mean, that takes some processing, right? The ear rape doesn't take processing. You just got to overload the fucking channel. But some of that more artistic shit that started popping out was like, somebody's a professional here. This looks really fucking good. Like, for us, we are like, amateurs. We are literally picking up an instrument basically for the first time, and we're trying to start a band. And some people just fucking, sound better than others, and some people just fucking, they just sound like they've been fucking practicing, their whole life. And I mean, I've seen people be able to like pick up a guitar, and within 2 weeks, I don't know, they're fucking shredding. I've seen that before. And other people, it just takes a little bit longer, and they just have their own style. And I don't know. I liked the idea of using the poop to tell a story. You know what I mean? And it, I don't know. I mean, it's always the thing in the back of my mind that makes me want to get back into poop, or that makes me want to pick up another source material and just start re-editing it, to tell a different story. I mean, for me, I think the whole thing was the really original idea that I had when I first saw the poop was, wow, you know what? When I was a kid, I remember watching this one movie, and at this one scene, there's this thing that happens. And I always thought that what he said was this, but
yes,
a little bit like older, I went back and it was like nothing like that, right? Or when I was a kid and I'd watch cartoons or something, and for some reason there was like a scene in a cartoon that just like impacted me. I don't know why, just burnt into my memory, and it seemed so much longer too. And then, like, more as an adult, like, you go back and you watch that scene and you go, oh wow, I can't believe what I saw in that scene, because that's not even really there. Or if it is there, it's just this like, it's this tiny little irony in the scene that doesn't actually come to fruition. And so I thought, well, this medium, I can use this medium to draw out these things in these movies and these things that affected me. And that was actually like the core of my belief, and my approach to the medium. Now, Now I don't know, man. I just always thought that, you had some comedic chops from the get.
My
day I came over to your house and you were watching a lot of G.I. Joe. Like a lot of G.I. Joe. And
I was studying that shit.
You were studying the source material.
Yeah, it's weird because I'm sitting here watching this Simple Kids cartoon and I'm trying to pick up like shit out of it. Like artsy, like what's the subtext? What do they mean? What are these characters about? Like what could they do and what are they supposed to mean to the viewer, and how can I flip that upside down? What's the angle that gets it flipped upside down? What are the tropes that I can defy? Shit like that. I'm basically, wow, looking back on it, I was checking it for vulnerabilities, to put it in a weird kind of phrasing.
Yes. Yes. And then, we made the G.I. Joe Poop.
Yeah. Now, most of my poops, and I think some of yours, I mean, you said what you said. You had a different process in mind. But I always had like a desired structure in mind. Yes, like a door on a hinge, a desired structure in mind that I have like a plot, a true story that I want to come out in this.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like when we did our collaborations with Infinipoop, each one of the poops, we did actually sit down and script, because it was a story to us. And the scenes, although they could be disjointed somewhat, they tell a fucking little story, a little stupid fucking story, a story that the original source material does not tell.
And a lot of times, I mean, I love all the poops. They're great poops. They're fun poops. But what frustrates me a little bit is I think to your casual viewer, the intended story is really hard to find in them.
What?
The intended story that we intended, it's hard to find. Like they find jokes and this is weird and this is fun, if they like it. Yeah. But even if they like it, they're not finding that stuff we wrote down on a timeline of what's supposed to happen and the structure of the plot. It's really hard to find.
There was a timeline. We would script it out. We'd say we're going to do this. We're going to do that. It's going to lead into this. It's going to lead. And
here's my funny poop story. I got obsessed with this idea of people weren't getting where my plot poops were heading. I had to tell them or something, and it was so. I remade a poop so many fucking times and started over remaking the same poop so many times, like just trying to. I can get this to the average person. I can get this to a non-pooper, and kept trying and kept trying.
What do you mean? Okay, so what poop, number one, are you talking about?
Back to the Future.
And
yeah.
This is after you already had the poop, right?
It's after I already had the poop many a time over.
And so you're re-editing it, and you're trying to tell the story better? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm trying to tell the story better.
So you're pooping your own poop.
Yeah. Because you will check over.
I remember some of that, actually.
I remember you taking your poop, your original poop, and I thought, oh, this is brilliant. This is great art. This is a masterpiece. This is fucking great. And then I came back over and you had fucking like changed it and shit. And I remember telling you, I was like, oh my God, what did you do, man? Why did you take that out? Why did you change this? Holy shit, no, you fucked that scene up. Like now that scene isn't good anymore. It's not there. Like what happened, bro? I remember that. And then you were like, well, it's better now. Like this is what I wanted it. And I was like, no, dude, no. Like holy shit, where did all that other shit go? Like that was really fucking funny. I remember that. Yeah, you were, I don't know. Would you say you were second guessing and that's very interesting. Let's say like a door on a hinge, right? And you wanted to tell a better story and you went back and you re-edited it.
Yeah.
And you cut some of the best parts out. And I was like, oh, dude, that was such a great gag.
Yeah.
Where were you?
They're still there. A lot of the iterations got uploaded, you know. They're still there.
Yeah, it's weird, man. And I mean, I go back to that. I remember that, you know what I mean? I do. And it's just it's kind of a weird place because you know, I'd come over and you know, I'm kind of weird. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And you know, I see you and
because I have a memory. You just lightly suggested to me. You did lightly suggest, I think, where I remember it, that like there was, and it was the fucking Back to the Future poop that I keep redoing. And like there was a montage, and you're like, man, this montage ain't working. It's too long. It was a time montage. It's like you're using too much news stuff in it. It ain't working. And I was like, oh, nah, fuck you, man. This is my montage, man. But then I like looked at it again. And of course, I want to change this shit. Like, you know, it's funny. Like, I was scowling at the idea at first, but, you know, you don't have to twist my arm for very long to get me to redo that poop.
The montage. Okay, so the montage scene, yes, I recall very well. I felt like the montage scene was just taking so long. Like, and I understand, I get it. It's like, dude, this is your first montage scene. Like, I mean, for real, in reality, like, how many movies have you seen montage scenes in? And they get to do a little montage. Almost every movie has one, and they're culturally embedded in the psyche. And it's like all of the sudden, and I loved your montage idea, you know, and I was like, oh fuck, he's doing a montage. Oh shit. And you're doing it right, you know, and you're doing like, you know, you're going back to the future and you're doing this, but you're making it funny at the same time. And it was just long. I mean, you know, you got maybe lost in the montage and it was really long. Like it was almost
get lost in the montage.
It became, you know, at the time, Rickroll, you know, poop
entity
almost sort of synonymous in a way with being Rickrolled. Cause like, you know, back in the day you'd search for a video and the video would pop up.
My thing about being a door on the hinge.
We were doing the same thing with poop in a sense, but the montage felt.
It just became its own entity.
Wait, are you a door hinge or are you a door on a hinge?
Door on a hinge.
So you're a door
and bolted to the wall. Yeah.
So you need to get unhinged.
Yeah, but that just makes me a door on the floor. That doesn't sound very exciting.
Well, yeah, and a door on the floor is about as useful as well, like a step up, you know, a 1-inch step up.
Yeah.
Well,
that and my redo of that montage, because I redid it. I did end up redoing it after you said you didn't like it.
No, I did like it, but yeah, but then you cut some other stuff. I remember I came over and then you had definitely made the montage like a little bit tighter or something. But then I remember I was like, "Oh shit, dude, but you cut this other scene out." Oh, and I love that scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, dude, you got to put that back." But I think you already uploaded it too, was the thing. So like you made this fucking edit and then you just fucking like uploaded it. And I don't know why, but I felt like I had some fucking like attachment to it. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, because I think I made that poop the first time in 2009. I made that poop for the most recent time in 2015. And
now, that original poop, I had some scenes in that. I thought.
You still do have some scenes in some of them. The 2015 one.
That exposes the truth of the way that we were operating the poops, is that we would come up with a storyline and then we would divvy up the scenes and we would poop the scenes pretty much independently and then piece it together.
Yep.
And I wasn't aware of anybody else in the scene doing that. I'm not saying that there wasn't anybody doing it, but I just wasn't aware of anybody in the scene doing that. And I thought that, you know, maybe we were bringing a new little twist to the scene as the, you know, as poop collaborators. We started the Infinipoop channel as a means of being in company with each other, you know, having each other as company is what I mean. And just utilizing each other's input and ideas and being able to like throw it together. And we thought at the time we could just keep this going because there's two of us. And if we just choose the material and we decide where we want to go and how we want to do this poop, then you take these scenes, I'll take these scenes, and so what's the next one going to be? What's the next one going to be? And it's not exactly easy working like that. It brings about difficulties. It just brings about communication complexities is all. Not so much difficulties, but like it just brings it complexes the operation.
In a way, because you do have to weld it all together.
Yeah, and it can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And those poops tended to take the longest.
Because the thing about a poop, and something I felt about a poop, even though I was so structured and I was a hinge on a door, fading to black isn't a good way to go. It's terrible for a poop. Like a proper, like in a movie or a TV show, oh, this scene's over, fade to black, fade in. No, the transition has to be, it has to be like, I don't know, for lack of words, seamless. There has to be like, not a, okay, this scene's officially over, the next scene officially begins. No, it's got to be like just weirdness. It just all goes together like a stream of fucking weirdness that leads you there. You can't show the seams. You can't show the seams. Like, okay, this is our first act and this is over. This is our second act. You can't telegraph it like that.
So the first poops that I really noticed out there in the scene, they kind of were these like little snippets of video, due to the way that the internet was at the time. The infrastructure, it was really slow, and people's computers were really slow and stuff. And so, when you go back far, you notice the quality is like really bad and shit. And when we got into it, you could at least get your hands on something that was, better than a little E-Bombs World clip. I mean, when we were getting into it, we could get our hands on some source material to use, and it would be, pretty good quality. And it was just kind of up to us how long we wanted to wait, or how well we understood the software in order to render out this art, in what quality, And so in the original shit, like we have some problems with like aspect ratio. I mean, aspect ratio is this thing that will just like continuously fuck you the more that you work on a poop. And although it's quite simple to solve for, when you know what you're looking for, like yeah.
Yeah. I remember in my experience as being very novice technically, coming into this, being really green on a technical level, it felt like a massive breakthrough once I actually harnessed aspect ratio, and like I know everything about aspect ratio and what's going to happen. You make a small thing bigger, it's going to be blurry. Period. And you take something and you output it to a different size, it's going to change it. And that change is going to stay. And every time you do that, it's going to be different. So you have a choice. You can match the source output, or you can settle for it being distorted somehow.
Yeah. And sometimes the software would switch on its own too. So like, yes, you would import something, and then it would like, it was kind of tough to know what ratio everything was in, and I remember, sometimes editing and getting really into the process and then doing a render, and it's just like, oh my God, what did I just fucking do? The aspect ratio is off, and it's all, I don't know. We were I just remember I really wanted to try to, I don't know. I just wanted it to be nice at the same time, and aspect ratio is always one of those things that creeps up in the night.
Well, on the program I was using back then, I really have the hang of the settings now, like complete control, meaning I can take the same clip and edit it 100 times, 1,000 times. I know where the output aspect is. I know where the input aspect is. It's a done deal. I could do the same footage.
Like I'm a little green again on my video editing skills right now. I definitely have more of the I don't know.
Well, yeah, I've been out of the game, but I got so obsessed with it that like once I know it's rote. I know that program like the back of my hand. It's weird. Here's the story. Friday at the office, because you were talking about like slow hardware, render times, stuff like that. Friday in the office, I don't know, the subject came up. Somebody I knew how to do videos, and I did a 30-second poop, like 8 video layers, just to show what it was. Just what is this? What's going on? What do you do? So did like 8 layers and overlays, like a 30-second poop, like glitched it all up, and it was so fucking quick. 30 minutes was getting the sources, importing the sources, editing the sources, rendering, and then playing it on a video player. 30 minutes, all that for a 30-second poop. I mean, because I have a computer that is up to modern standard, 2018 modern standard, and it kind of made me sad. Like, damn, that was fucking fast. That was like not a great poop, but a poop.
Yeah.
8 video layers.
Arnie the alligator, because I remember when, I don't know, it was one of those first conversations we had about the whole pooping thing, and I was like, oh no, man, oh, pooping, oh yeah, no, I think I see what they're doing here. Let me just, okay, so what you want to do is just go into Vegas. Yeah, use Vegas. Don't do Movie Maker, man. That's just like a fucking slideshow. Get out of that. Okay, so here, watch. I bet you I could do this in like 30 minutes. And then it's like, well, yeah, you can, like, I think I proved my point at the time, but if you really want to make art, it takes more time. It truly does. It's, there's something in the back of your mind, like when you see a medium like poop, and you go, oh man, this is just like, this is just fucking, they're just doing whatever. Bleh. But then when you sit down and you actually start to get into it, you go, oh man, this takes a lot of time, actually. This isn't just going to come off like, really easy. But I'm talking about back then. I'm just talking about the mentality back then, and in 08, 09, and
Yeah, in that moment, I remember you declared it. All right, I was watching these poops, and you're like, you know what? It was like a throwdown. Like, okay, proof of concept test was kind of how it was. Like, just
yes.
Like,
yeah.
let's
yeah.
show how easy it is to pump one of these shits out.
Yeah, and I just went back recently and I watched Arnie the alligator, and is it a poop?
It is. It's fucking good.
By today's standards, you know what I mean? It's funny how poop progressed so fast and changed so fast, and other people brought in their own spirit and pushed this locomotive up a hill, or fuck it, pushed this rock up a hill, and it changed, where, I don't know, in the back of my mind, I wanted to try to tell, like I said, like I was explaining before, I wanted to try to fucking get into these scenes where I felt something weird in this scene, and I wanted to see if I could recreate that weird feeling, that ironic, feeling. But there are a lot of, my point is that there's just a lot of kind of different flavors of poop, and we, when I go back and I watch that Arnie, I go, wow, it's maybe it's kind of slow, but everything I set out to do in those scenes, I did. And nowadays, if I was to go back and re-edit it, I think I would feel this sense of, oh, it has to be faster. You know what I mean? Like it sort of is sort of like punk in a certain degree, where it's like, fucking 100 beats per minute, isn't nearly fast enough. This has to be 180, like, or it's not punk, it's not fucking fast enough. It's not fucking rapey enough. It's not fucking colorful enough. It's not edited. It's not, like quick, but it's exactly what I set out to do, which it was to prove a point, I suppose. It was to say, this can be done. We can do this. And we can fuck with our audience. I mean, I remember doing that scene where it just repeats itself. You know what I'm saying? It's just this scene that repeats itself. He says something like the alligator, alligator, Arnie, alligator. And when we first edited that scene and it just loops and loops and loops, I remember thinking, like, I want it to loop so many times that the viewer says,
fuck this.
Yes. Like,
yeah, just take it no more.
Yeah.
Give it up for the ladies, y'all.
I watch it, I go, oh, fuck this shit. Like, I'm not watching this. So in a way, it actually does do what it was intended to do.
Yeah, and I resisted that pressure for speed, but not entirely. It got to me, and because I'm looking at the last time I redid the Back to the Future poop. I'm watching it on mute right now, and without the sound, it is so fucking twitchy. Like, I'm afraid to linger on anything, lest it's not good enough. The thing, like, I'm just, there's not a second that goes by where something doesn't get messed with. It's an amazing, that pressure got to me. The pressure to be fast.
Yeah, no, but you were, okay, so it got to you. But I don't know. My opinion was, you were good. You were better for it. You were good. You did it right. The pressure got to me, but I think I had just kind of like moved on because like I just want to tell my fucking story. And if it comes out fast and shit, then that's what I wanted to say. But I focused more on like dialogue and scene and atmosphere and just the way that this should make you feel. And sometimes I just get caught up in these scenes doing these edits where it's like, oh man, am I getting this across? Am I doing it good enough? Like, I never really wanted, I don't know, I just wanted to make sure that like my message was coming across strong. And no, I mean, I love your style, you know what I mean? And just like where you went, and that's, partly why I thought, well, we fucking work together. We'll do some fucking poops. We'll put this shit together, and it's going to have the fucking story that I want. And it's going to have the emotion that I want in it. And it's going to have that fucking comedy. And I don't know, man, you always seem to be able to bring it with the comedy.
Okay. Maybe a little change of subject.
Yeah.
Not too much, because this is the Infinipoop podcast. What do you think of other people's poops? Not mine, not your own, but like, are there any other poops out there that you have opinions about, or poopers that you have thoughts about?
No, actually. No, you know what I mean? I don't. I really don't. And that's partly why I think we're going to just go ahead with this is it would be interesting to develop an opinion. It would be interesting to meet some of the poopers and get their feeling on it. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I was definitely influenced by things that I saw, but I just wanted to tell a story, and so I really didn't get into the scene that much. You know what I mean? I don't know. The scene just kind of fucking like I don't know. I'm kind of like I'm not antisocial, you know what I'm saying? I like people. I'm actually a really social person, and I'm not afraid of confrontation. I don't want to be an asshole. But the whole scene, it seemed like I don't know. I just didn't know where I would fit in, and so I wasn't really. I don't know. I didn't really watch a lot of stuff. Now I know that you were definitely more into the scene. You were more connected and everything, and you know, at the time, I really just wanted to make music. I just wanted to make music. I just wanted to make art. Um, and I didn't really want to be in the scene. I had this mindset, like I didn't want to be in any scene. I had this mindset, like I just want to be in the studio. You know what I mean? Like, you know me, and you know that I was in a scene. I had a scene. We had a local scene, and it's cool. It can be really cool. I love it and shit. But I got to a certain point where I was like, nah, man, you know, the scene, it can fucking wear you out. The scene, it can run you ragged. It can drain your energy. It can give you energy, you know, but like, but if you're really, you know, I don't know, man, I just felt like I was just really about, like, I just wanted to be in the studio and work. So I don't really have any fucking opinions on the poopers. I don't know. I mean, I remember back in the day, you know, we had done some research, you know, who's the first pooper. You know, there were some things that were like important to us and stuff, like who's the first pooper. And, you know, I just remember Yoshi or something was one of the earliest ones. And I remember just looking to his work, looking to first wave, you know what I mean? Just first wave poopers, seeing the Zelda, seeing spaghetti and stuff. And I just remember seeing that stuff, and my opinion on it was, and that's funny. So I do have an opinion. My opinion was, these guys are doing great shit. You know what I'm saying? These guys are doing the Zelda. They're doing CDI. They're doing Mario. They're doing Mama Luigi, spaghetti. They're doing, like, you know what I'm saying? And it was good. And it was fucking good. And I saw it, like, it was a little crowded. It was a crowded space. But that was kind of all there was. And I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. I didn't want to even compete in this crowded realm of what I thought was brilliant shit. So I wanted to, you know, my opinion was, I'm just gonna go over here in this corner and do something different, that, you know, hopefully is doesn't get pulled off of YouTube, you know? I mean, there, you know, there was always this feeling like somebody was on our back. Like, you know, it could get pulled down at any moment. You know, you get like audio fucking claims on it. Like, every fucking poop I had like an audio claim. And it was that music in the art.
That will grind you the fuck down. Because you're not doing this to try to make a living. You're not doing it to try to get ahead of anything. You're doing it for your own shits and giggles. And you want it to be up there so you can look at it later. Maybe other people can see it, get a laugh. And, you know, when you have nothing to gain out of it, it's such a pain in the ass that they put those kind of obstacles up against you. That you got to work on, like, keeping... You got to work on keeping the shit up and convincing them that it's okay for the shit to be up.
Yes. We were constantly having to convince them that this is transformative art. And it was. And it was a way to express ourselves, and in a way we needed it. And I have right now pulled up You know, thank you, Mike Fenton, Jane Feinberg, and Judy Taylor. I mean, come on. You know, credit are due.
Yes. Yeah, couldn't avoid having those credits in it. Yeah.
Now, this is your re-edit of a re-edit of a re-edit of a re-edit that you posted up on Back to the Future Day?
Yes, because I was in the middle of redoing this poop yet again, and this was going to be the epic redo. Because this treatment, like, I was going to tell my story or whatever, but this glitchy shit, I was going to go through all 3 movies. Like, in my mind, this poop was going to be 40 minutes long and not like a usual 40-minute poop. A usual 40-minute poop has a lot of unaltered frames, like minutes of the original source just going and occasional.
Oh, really? No. There are 40-minute poops, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they get slower paced the longer they get. And my idea is I'm just going to take my time. I'm going to make sub renders when I have to, because, you know, doing something where you've glitched every frame you're not going to render 40 minutes of that out on any machine. But I was just going to do what I had to do, and I was going to go over the whole movie, make jokes, and take every little part and make some kind of glitchy thing, put a filter on it. Like, this treatment was going to be the whole fucking movie. And I was working on that, and then I started hearing more and more about Back to the Future Day, and I'm like, fuck. Nobody's going to give a damn about this after that day. Like, yeah, this is the deadline to upload.
Yeah, I actually saw on Back to the Future Day. I was in the movie theater. I watched Back to the Future 1, Back to the Future 2, and Back to the Future 3 in the fucking movie theater on October 15th, 2015. And that's what I was doing. I was reliving my childhood in an experience that I'd never really gotten to live in the first place, because I saw the videos on VHS. You know what I mean? Like, when I was a kid, like, it was, you know, movie rentals, baby. And there was something really somber and ironic about the whole thing, because, you know, I don't know, it just felt like the studios couldn't get their fucking asses together. I mean, come the fuck on, man. Like, dude, in the age of reboots and fucking restarts and fucking hibernates and shutdowns and exits and re-exits, and you know, they couldn't convince somebody to, I don't even know, like, did the studios even shoot a short or anything? Like, man, maybe they did, or maybe like The Onion did something, maybe Saturday Night Live did something, maybe Funny or Die did something. I don't know, maybe they got into it and did something. But I just remember at the movie theater feeling like, oh,
didn't do something.
Over. It's fucking over.
Yeah, and it's over because they didn't do something. Yeah, people made little parodies, they made little videos, but Universal did nothing. No thing. Yeah, theaters had little festivals and stuff, and everybody got into it. But yeah, they let it die on that day. For me, like, if there was going to be a remake or they were going to do like a special thing for it,
yeah,
that window is shut. Oh, by the way, the famous montage is short as shit.
You shortened it again on this one?
It's over. That's how short it is.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was it. I cut that bitch down to the ground.
Well,
10 seconds. Out. Moving on to the next thing. And even then, I was like, Is that too long?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I had plans to do this for the whole fucking thing. Like, really rapid fire, lots of, like, I have him getting thrown out of that window. Like, stuff like that. Like, to a pooper, what is technical things to do?
Well, that's the thing, man. I think I felt the pressure. I think I felt the pressure to like go faster, play harder, be more aggressive.
And if you listen to that thing, not only is it visually complex, there's layers, there's glitchy cuts, there's this, there's that. It's full of sentence mixes. Like,
yeah, those are fun. Those are just fucking fun, man.
Because you'll have to listen to it. He says something to future Mayor Goldie Wilson, which is why he's flying out of the window.
Oh man, sentence mixing. Let's just talk for just 1 second about sentence mixing. You know, when you're like trying to get him to say something, and so you start going through all the fucking audio, you start like saving snippets of their audio so that, you know, oh, he says fa here. Oh, they say, you know, sla here, you know. It's like, and if you, it's just, it can take time. It can take a lot of time. I mean, where you're going through the fucking audio source files and you're just, and sometimes you're just taking pieces like, is this fucking good enough? You slide it in there, see if it, like, fuck it. All right. It's good enough. They fucking get the idea.
Yeah, well, through the art of careful sentence mixing, I mean, Back to the Future Day fucking derailed me. That would have been the most epic, because through the art of sentence mixing, he does it. He changes his mind and he goes ahead and has sex with his mom. Verified. The most casual viewer will catch it because they say they are going to have sex, and then I cut to footage of trains and rocket ships. It's sealed. And I was going to go on, what is the alternate reality going to look like now? That was my plan. Like, what's it going to look like now? But it ends. The last scene is Doc saying that line, like, you didn't interact with your parents, did you, Marty? And Marty just says, no. Because he's lying about what happened. And I was going to take it from there. Like, that was going to be the story. Like, things keep getting weird because he did that. And Doc's going to keep asking him, like, are you sure? And he's going to be like, no. He won't admit it. Was going to be where it was going to stay for a while. Yep. And the audio of this is laying it all out. They are getting dirty in audio.
Oh yeah, you use the like where he's slipping on the board and oh man.
Yeah. Samsung. By the good. You just made me a fourth of a cent. Thank you very much.
What do you mean? Wait, what? Don't even mention it.
Okay. All right. We can cut it out if we have to. Yes.
No, we're not going
to taboo.
Cut anything out at this point. Well, look. I mean, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, maybe on the next episode, unless you find a hot interview, maybe, you know, we can make it more structured topics. Maybe we can talk about the ultimate taboo.
Not the ultimate taboo, probably, but maybe some. Oh, wait. Oh, do you mean monetization?
Oh, you said it. You said it. You said the evil M word. Yes. And how greater men than I have been taken down. by trying to get some money.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in the poopo sphere?
That's what I'm saying.
In the Poopus Bowl? In the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I might have to look through the forum archives and find the evidence so I can really get my story straight. But there's a couple funny stories of people who tried to get some money and they just got turned against real bad. Real bad.
In what way? What do you mean? Like YouTube?
Well, no, because monetizing on YouTube, you didn't really hear about that because YouTube just shuts you down right quick. They're looking to shut down Poops anyways. So turn on monetization, yeah, you're gone. Your video's gone.
You got to fight for your right to.
But okay, I guess maybe just as an afterthought because we should be wrapping it up soon. Okay. Well, here's a couple of schemes without really researching it that I remember that stand out. One guy, he went on Fiverr and said, I will make your poop for $5. He offered a poop on demand service. Name your source. Tell me exactly what you want the poop to be.
Oh, I remember this back in the day. I think, I don't know, it was like 2012, 2013. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I vaguely remember something like that.
And people did not like that at all. Like, who is this? You know, first of all, an air of arrogance. Okay, you're such a good fucking pooper that you can make a poop so much better than mine that I should pay you so I can credit myself for your poop. That's how good your poop is, you fucker.
Well, that's what a shadow pooper does, though. That's literally what a shadow pooper does in the scene. I mean, I think there's probably some shadow poopers out there that we might want to talk to. Or did I just make that up? I don't know.
The term shadow pooper, never heard of it before now, but that's a good term for it. That's kind of honorable. And the other one is one guy just started putting videos up like this kind of video, like just looking into the camera, just saying a few things, what's going on. And he was big in the poop scene. That was his whole thing. And he just put a video and he started talking about, well, I got a Patreon going and you know, I'd really like you to kick to my Patreon because I can't afford to keep doing this without Patreon. And oh boy,
like what you want us to pay you to take a shit in your toilet? Like what audacity does this motherfucker have? Like, we are doing this like for free. I don't expect somebody to pay me. And that's it's sort of very like, I don't know, man. It's sort of very fucking like the way that we were when we were kids in the punk scene and the rock and roll scene, man. It was like, don't fucking sell out, man. Fuck the money, man. It ain't about the money. It's about the fucking music, man. It's about the fucking scene. Fuck the money. And, you know, there's some truth to that. Like, I think that's why there are certain scenes that get caught up in that ideology. The ideology that, fuck the money, man. It's not. But it's a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. No, you can't let it truly be an ideology in the scene. You know, maybe there's some money that should be in the scene. I don't know. I mean, you know, the scene's going to work itself out, you know. The scene is like and you know, this is partly why I just didn't want to be a part of the fucking scene in the first place. The scene is sort of like an organism, and it has its own fucking, you know, immune system responses. And so if it detects a invader, it's going to try to fucking eliminate it.
Yeah. Yeah, the purity of the scene. And yeah, that's what I was saying. It was kind of a weird thing. Like and I sort of understood it talking to people, because it's these kids. It's like the one thing they can do. It's their first start in any kind of media. And like every other YouTube scene, really got about the money. People are reviewing for money. People are reacting for money. And there are people who are just in it for the money. And the fear was, okay, if we figure out a way that people can regularly make money off this, we will get professionals that will come in and fucking roll us over. They will use their fucking money and their money tricks and their promotion tricks and their fucking bullshit, and they will be popular because they will pander and be assholes, and they will just roll right over us and make us feel like shit. That's where the money taboo comes from. That fear that I will be...
Man, that's the whole thing, is that you're on a platform where there's money. There's like money dripping, seeping out of the sewage. And it's YouTube money. It's the provider's money. You know, there's this monetization system built into it. And there was always this thought in the back of your mind that, oh, this could go viral, or, oh, you know, somebody's going to see this, you know, maybe, you know, I mean, look, in reality, like, you're putting stuff on YouTube, you're putting your art on YouTube, and you want people to see it. You want people to see it. And, you know, I see a lot of stuff nowadays that actually does have like 1 million views or something, and they are monetizing, but what the source they're using is like, it's almost like there's okay source that you can use, and then there's off limits source that you're not allowed to monetize on. And this is just a theory that I have, which is you can actually poop a source depending on the source, and you can basically poop the hell out of it, and you can monetize off of that. And I sort of see some of that. I mean, the poop art, there's like a threshold, I think, where it starts to get into a mainstream area. I mean, I never did get into a mainstream area, like, personally. I actually, I don't know, just personally, I always wanted to just do source that like meant something to me, artistically, more of your off the wall source material or something. Not as fucking, you know, underground as like CDI and shit like that. You know, old movies or something, old movies that moved me. You know, like The Last Dragon and shit, you know what I mean? Like, you know, maybe this, you know, this kind of underground source that's kind of already funny, kind of already cool. But I see this monetization angle where, depending on the source itself, I feel like YouTube would actually allow you to monetize the poops, depending on the source.
I believe they would. And if I was to guess, you know, because there was a talk about this when YouTube was really cracking down, and, you know, they'd have like a place in the forum was the pooper death count, and they'd add the names of every pooper whose count got deleted.
Oh, fuck.
And would put names on that thing every fucking day. Like, there was a casualty every day.
What, on YouTube?
Yeah, like, you know, how back in the Iraq War they'd list like the dead people on the news. It was like a more pathetic version of that, you know, like today these heroes were lost, and here's the list of our heroes that we lost today. We honor their service. Like it was that kind of tone, but you know, silly and poop forum based. But it was kind of like, damn, they're, you know, like the ruthlessness of YouTube. How, and there was talks about what are legit sources, and you know, what were truly legit sources, like things you can't get sued for, things you can't get kicked for, seemed very limited and limiting. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, public service announcements, things more than 90 years old, meaning like the earliest examples of film, like old silent movies,
like maybe some of the Edison movies.
Yeah, and stock footage of trains and shit. Like very limited, you know, because when you want to, because they want to like work on the things that they're watching now. They want to sentence mix Rick and Morty or some shit. You know, they want to do what relates to them, and what relates to them is new. You know. So when you say like these are the sources you could use legally, and maybe you could even monetize because these are ultra legally legit, it's like, oh man, what are you giving me? You're giving me like you too much of a challenge, or it's not fun. Because I'd use that old parade footage or that old, but I'd want to put a reference to the new thing in there. I'd want to put a little clippy. You know, I want to pick any source. Like you said, I cross-reference, and everybody wants to cross-reference. You said, I know what to pick out, and I know where to put it. It's like, well, you severely limit my choice of what to pick out. Like, it is kind of a stifling effect. You know, what do you got? 20 sources? And you want to use 500.
And the thing is that nowadays, right, we got all these I remember the first time it was like about, I don't know, it was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago or something. I was over at somebody's house, and there were these kids, and they were watching YouTube on their panels, and then I don't know, at some point, you know, when I was talking to him, I said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And one of the kids actually said, I want to be a YouTuber. And
okay, go ahead.
It was sort of shocking, actually. It was sort of shocking. I had a shock in my system. I felt like I felt like a little pain. Of course, it makes so much sense though, doesn't it? And you know, it's like you know, the kids, they've panels, they're watching YouTubers. The YouTubers are mostly, you know, they're young, attractive. They have some glitzy and some glamour behind them. They have fast editing. They do these voices. You know, and there are some accents as well. And they build up these fan bases, and I mean, they've got a lot of content, and the kids can just let it autoplay, and then just, you know, they're playing video games, watching video games. I mean, shit, I remember the first time I saw these kids watching YouTubers play video games, and I just thought, why aren't you playing a video game right now? I actually didn't understand. I'm like, why are you watching somebody else play a video game? Like, the only time I would ever watch somebody else play a video game, it would be because I was waiting for him to fucking die so I could get on the controller next. And and no, you know what I mean? They watch the kids are watching these videos, and I'm not dissing it. I'm not actually like I'm not trying to put any shade on it, but it's just like it's sort of ironic, um, and there's something about it that it just shouldn't make sense, you know?
Yeah, but it can seem to a kid like that's charisma. You don't see it as charisma. You see it as like, you probably, maybe if you're like me, or maybe this is just how I see it, you see like the disingenuous side of it, like the fucking smarmy side of it. You know, you don't want to be that much of a hater, but you just see it, you know. Oh, would you look at that? I totally got fragged. Okay, man. That was the game. Don't forget, comment, subscribe, assault the fuck out of that like button. Don't forget to donate to the Patreon and leave a comment. Peace out, man. That was the channel. Yeah. Like that, like, oh my God, that felt so disingenuous. It felt like that was such a douchebag marketing creep.
And yet I can't help it but now fall into the same trap every once in a while. You know, I'm online, I'm searching for something, all of a sudden something comes up, and now I'm watching some guy play a game on YouTube, and it's like, oh man, dude, you sucked me in. You got me. I'm here, make it good. And there is something sort of magnetic to it. There's something very attractive. And God, I mean, I know back in the day, I mean, you had some of your own riffs on the whole YouTuber thing. I mean, there's a lot of emotion actually in these poops that we created. There truly is a lot of emotion. The for example, American History XXX, where you sentence mix, and I don't even know if I would call it sentence mixing right now, but
no, you wouldn't. Not if you're talking about the first one. That was a dub.
Yeah, and
dub was evil back then, and I didn't even realize it till I put that video up. It's like, oh, dubbing's like, you don't care that I was working with a Nazi movie. You more care that I was doing a technical thing that you don't like. You didn't like the technique. The technique was worse than the Nazis. All right, I see where you're coming from. You didn't like the dubbing, and that offended you deeply.
Who did it offend? Oh, who did it offend, man?
The comments about
the door hinge guy?
No, I'm talking about comments in general. That met with ill reception, as I remember. American History X. It got
really?
Bad criticism.
In where? We didn't get, I don't remember getting criticism on the YouTube video.
I don't know. I remember like a few, man, maybe I took them a little too hard. Like, but also I
went in and I changed the title to anti-fascist, anti-gay, anti-white, anti-KKK, American History X, Infinipoop, because I just wanted to ensure that they knew that, like, oh God, that,
but it's a dub. Like, none of that matters. That's what matters to them. No, I used my own voice in it to replace words in their sentences.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you did. In fact, I remember that was because we were going to use that. We were going to kind of maybe do that, do voices, do our own voices and mix it up in there and shit.
And then I found out, like, that's a taboo. Like, dubs are worse than sentence mixes. Like, sentence mixing is like the good side. Like, ooh, the sentence mixers are the heroes of the world. The dubbers are the hack frauds.
Yeah, but you know what though? Like, it's good though, because you're telling a story, and the scene, you set the scene, and I don't remember entirely. It's been a long time since I've watched it, but in the scene, he says, "Oh, you're just one of those fucking YouTubers, aren't you?" or something. And you know,
that was another issue. That was another issue. I got into politics.
You're trying to tell a fucking story here, man.
I got way too much into poop politics in that one. And I dialed back after that, because you have to dial back after that. You just have to. There's no place else to go except for back.
Now, we originally, when we first started pooping, because I was a little averse to the scene, I think we uploaded some of our first works to your YouTube account, and and then it took a while. It took like a year or something before I said to you, let's go ahead and let's make a new account. Let's get a logo. Let's take our collaboration to the next level. And I think it was sort of specifically too, because you wanted to keep pooping, and I thought, well, let's have this collaboration project company of each other, and so we'll just kind of keep some of this stuff separate, and then so that you can have your own personality apart from this, this storytelling thing. So as you're developing and becoming better at your art, you do that on your channel. And I thought I was going to start doing the same thing too on my own channel, and I just didn't. I just focused instead on Infinipoop. But a really good friend of ours made that intro logo for us with his 3D rendering. I called him up one day and I just said, "Hey man, got this little project, and this is gonna sound really stupid, but you know how what's the company? I want to say Infinite Film, but oh God, what's the company that we're pooping there with that? Oh, I forget. It's where the film comes flying in onto the screen.
It's New Line Cinema.
Yeah, New Line Cinema. That's right. I mean, we had, in the 80s and in the 90s, like we'd seen this thing flying in the screen, and it kind of meant something to us. It had a power to it. And so I wanted to kind of like recreate and kind of capture.
And here's why it was New Line Cinema. You let me have a lot of control in that, because I don't know. I remembered this thing, New Line Cinema. They were making like a special back in the day of DVD, the heyday of DVD, before Blu-ray, before digital. In the heyday of DVD, New Line Cinema was trying to make a proprietary format of DVD called Infinifilm. And that's where that all came from. That's why it looks like New Line Cinema.
Yeah, and so I'm talking to him, and I'm like, okay, so here's here, and I'm trying to explain to him what the whole poop thing is. And I mean, it's it's up shit creek without a paddle trying to fucking explain this to somebody. It's a little, it's a little odd. And I'm like, a toilet comes together on the screen. So like pieces.
Oh yes, the 3D animator
fly in from the sides, and we worked on that together.
To a 3D animator, because I couldn't do that shit.
No, and it's funny because this isn't the first render he sent over to me. He had sent over a few renders as we were like perfecting it, and and just the way it comes in and flies in is particularly nice. What he did for us. And he does do some so he's done some industry work and stuff like that. He's done some pretty cool 3D CGI in a couple or more underground movies and stuff. I don't know. He has an IMDb credit or something too on a project that he worked on.
Yeah. Now, I think I'm doing screen sharing right now because I want the visual of what the toilet's supposed to be parroting.
Oh, I see your email address. Oh, nice.
Oh, son of a bitch, really?
Yes. Please send emails. Send all your hate mail to that email address that you just saw there.
Actually, please do, because I'm very lonely. Please do. We'll post it up like proper later in case you missed it, or just pause the video and zoom in on it. Whatever's clever. But yeah. Thank you. Good catch. I do have to watch stuff like that. The email is fine, but you know, there could have been something more incriminating, and I wasn't thinking about
it. Really? Like what?
Like information is what I mean. You know, not what you're thinking.
Credit card, CCV numbers, contact information, first name, last name, addresses, email addresses, login passwords. Yeah, man. The pooping thing, God, it feels like it was a long time ago for me. And part of the reason why I kind of felt the energy to talk with you today about this was because the YouTube channel, I suppose you could say, it outgrew itself, and they have split up their scene into two diverse groups. And so, in a sense, it is the end of an age. I mean, I was on it a little bit, you know. I just kind of read a little bit. I maybe made a couple posts or something, you know, like way back in the day or something. But you know, if I wanted to know what was going on in the scene or whatever, I would just come over and talk to you, see what you thought.
Yeah. Well, you
to really think about the scene. I didn't quite know how to approach it. I remember the first time that I saw the tennis matches, and I just thought, I thought that was just great, man. I just thought that was a little bit of just something really fun to do. And I remember watching some of your tennises that you had with some of the fucking kids, and it was funny shit. Like, I loved to see how it would go down, how, you know, like when you lob that poop back and forth, you know, and, you know, you're trying to score. And I don't know, man. I mean, some of that shit it would just get warped, you know. And what was funny about what I remember from back then, I mean, this is years ago, and I just remember thinking, what's interesting is that there's still a story. So I remember like seeing your poop, and you start with a story, and then you fucking hit it over there, and then the guy takes your story, twists it, turns it inside out, and then sends it back to you. And it's like, whoa, what do I fucking do with that? And then you know, you take it, you poop it, you do it, you know, because what's funny is that someone like in a tennis match, you do a poop, they send it back to you, and it's you can read them, you get the feeling, you see what they were going for.
Okay.
And
You're reminding me of the one time I had a good time doing a tennis. I think I tried tennis 2 or 3 times, but you're going to the one time I had a good time doing a tennis where this guy was on my level tennis wise. Because usually what a tennis is, it's all about effects. You just take whatever video you have and you add extra effects to it and you send it back. And it's like a game of telephone with adding effects. So you re-edit the same video. You just add more shit to it. You distort the sound more. You make it rapier. You make it more colorful, glitchy. But this guy, he was willing to have the kind of tennis I wanted, where we lobbed like the story.
Yes, that's what I remember.
Twisted the story with each iteration. And that was awesome.
Really, really funny.
I know, because that was one tennis I was actually like, I can't wait to see what comes back.
Yes, yeah. I remember there was a reggae song in it, and you know, it turned into something that was just absolutely just hilarious. How he took, you know, the subject matter, and I don't know, it was just funny to see you guys do that, go back and forth. Now, question, how much of that stuff is still available? I mean, if you wanted to go pull back your tennis match right now and actually see the progression and the evolution of it, is it there?
I have those videos on my computer, I'm pretty sure. And I'm looking at my old channel right now. Looks like I have a couple of those videos are still up. Like a couple of lobs of that tennis are still up. Yeah. And I was kind of hoping I had all the rounds up, including his. That's the thing. Like, if something happened to his channel, his side of it's gone, which sucks. But I downloaded his videos too, and in my computer, I have all 6 of them. I have the complete match, because that's important to have that, because that's what I hoped more tennises would be. But it was always more mechanical, which is also good, just not necessarily my cup of tea. Because it was just about like pushing that limit to them. Like how messed up can this footage get to just make it totally unrecognizable? That's the goal at the end. Like a game of telephone, at the end, nothing is recognizable from the old product.
Well, okay, so but it wasn't called telephone though. It was called tennis, and in tennis, I mean, is more of a match game. It's a game where the object is to defeat your opponent with your ball, you know, and you know, your first swing, you really want to ace in the hole, so you go for an ace in the hole, and there is a possibility that you just ace it, and it's like, you know, they don't hit it back, right? I mean, that I would imagine that happens sometimes. And that was the thing that was so funny about his response, man. When he responded to your fucking hit, it was just like, whoa, he just did a jumping backhand and it was on. You know, the crowd goes wild.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was a real fun time, and I didn't get to work with this guy any after that in any capacity, which kind of, yeah. But here's an idea of what it went. Yeah, the fourth wall breaks. Like after a while, yeah, that was. It's like, okay, so now, like, they're watching the poop and they don't know what to make of it. It is where it went in part of it. But and that was the funny bit. It did have the spirit of, it focused around this one scene. And this scene in G.I. Joe, Cobra Commander has like certain people held hostage. And it's like a list of different people, like a botanist, a scientist, a biologist. And so that's the first stage. You fuck with that listing. Like that was his first round, was like, okay, he's saying botanist too much. Like he's got a botanist, a scientist, a botanist, a botanist, and a botanist.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first round, right?
That's what he gave me to work with.
What do you say? 5 more minutes or what? 5 more? At 5 more minutes, we've got 120.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever you're ready to call it. I think we've discussed our end of it fully.
At least for the day, at least for the night. Yeah, I feel like it was fun. It was actually nice to go back down memory lane and kind of just explain.
Yeah, this is memory lane. You do the past before you do the future.
Yeah. It helps understand where you are. I mean, there's no other way to understand where you are if you don't know how you got there.
Yeah, because I guess since we have that, get caught in that memory, because then Gung Ho says something, and in the original scene, like, I don't know what he's getting at. He says, okay, because he does this, a botanist, a scientist, a baker, a candlestick maker, what the fuck ever. And then Gung Ho says, yeah, it's Tupac. That's actually what he says in the unaltered footage. I still don't know what that means. I've studied G.I. Joe so hard. And I even know, like, because of that and some other reasons, a lot of military terminology. But that one has eluded me. It's like, he says it's Tupac. Why? And boy, that guy, he gripped on to that. And it turns into a Tupac festival for a while.
So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of positivity in that in that scene, man. It's I don't know, it's cool. I always liked what was going on over there. I just didn't quite see how to do everything and shit and fit in and fucking and actually be able to spend time in it and stuff. I mean, I knew you, and you were already somewhat immersed, and so I just felt like this is cool, And we did our poops for about I don't know, a year and a half. In I guess 2010 is when it stopped. Although we tried to kind of get it back going, we released volume 1. We worked on a DVD, which I believe I still have the file around, the full working file with all the special features and all the weird poop DVD buttons and intros and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun. Maybe one day, maybe one day we will get back and make some art. besides the poop, I have these like thoughts, you know. I've kind of seen a lot of movies lately, and I've kind of been let down by a lot of the movies that Hollywood is making lately. It's just a lot of shit, you know what I mean? It just feels like they're pumping out a lot of shit. And just I don't know, no disrespect to all the people that are working on the projects. I mean, because I single-handedly know how, you know, you can plan shit out, you can work with people, and then it comes out and it's just shit. You know what I mean? It's, you know, it misses the mark somehow. And I had that feeling a lot with, you know, with our stuff, you know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like we nailed it, and other times I feel like it was just missing something. And so it happens. But I feel like God, I don't know, man. These movies, I feel like they need to be re-edited. And they really need to be re-edited, because there are some like, I don't know, man, just even like the Star Wars movie, this episode 8 Star Wars movie, if you were to re-edit it, I feel like it would be more watchable if we were to poop it, the whole thing, and just really try to capture the comedy in those scenes. Because like at times I'd just be watching the movie and I was like kind of wanting something serious. I kind of wanted like a serious Star Wars movie in this last one that came out. I kind of wanted that, you know, the Empire. I just kind of wanted Empire. And I feel like I got like a comedy movie or something that was like hardly veiled comedy, and with a little bit of tweaking, we could easily re-edit that movie into something that is fucking funny. I mean, I don't easily re-edit it, really.
I have a thought on the whole Star Wars thing. And it's a little controversial. The first Star Wars, The Real New Hope, Episode 4, 1979, Star Wars 1. It's a canonized movie. It's sacred. But I feel like if that movie came out today, it would do poorly under the nitpicking of modern criticism.
You're saying episode 6 or 4?
4, 1979, the OG. It was a little goofy, but it's forgiven because that's nostalgia, and that's like all those quotes are valuable to people.
Yeah,
you know, even the innocuous quotes are like culturally valuable. You know, references. You know, well, you know, they move in single file to hide their numbers. And let's put that up to modern nitpicking. How in the fuck does going in single file hide your numbers? Doesn't that just make you look like a really long line? Like, it makes it look like there are more of you. And that was a really stupid idea, technically.
Well, I think the hiding your numbers thing, it actually relates to when you would travel. So it has more to do with traveling in a large pack across. I believe the military strategy has to do with if you walk more single file, you can hide your numbers, and that they can't actually count how many people are approaching by footprints.
Because the sand, the tracks. You see, I'm a dumbass, but that's never talked about, and that would be talked about if that movie came out today. This conversation would happen. And people would actually say that shit, and they'd have to get schooled on it, as I just was. But everything goofy about that movie, and it was a bit of a goofy movie when you really think about it. It's cool. I mean,
feel like the industry and the studios need to allow people to re-edit their films in a in a safe space where you can where you can tell the story maybe better, and you know, where it's not competing, where it wouldn't actually compete, let's say, directly with the studios, but where it could at least compete with people's imaginations.
Yeah. I just feel, you know, like the way the modern critic community, they have to digest this shit so much because of professional YouTube people. For one, it's like we have to talk about every movie, and we have to talk about every franchise movie, and we have to speculate before the movie comes out, and then after the movie comes out we have to beat every detail of the movie to death, whether we like it or not. You know, whether our opinion is positive or negative, we have to explain how we feel about every move and every scene, and even counteract criticisms of others, and make it a whole discussion and write blog articles about it and just digest it to death. That's why the original Star Wars has that place where it's sacred and it's a beautiful thing, because it wasn't digested to death. People just said, wow, it's fucking 1979. It's primitive mustache times. And that was an awesome movie.
Well, yeah, yes. But when I was growing up, like I remember in the 80s and in the 90s, before the prequels, like you would see people referencing Star Wars. It almost felt like everywhere. There was always a veiled Star Wars reference, or a just blatant, you know, Star Wars reference, some for comedy value, and it was happening a lot. And I thought about it, and I was wondering, you know, okay, so it was owned by Fox, and so I was wondering, is this just like a Fox thing? So let's say all of your sitcoms on Fox, you've got, you know, Simpsons, and all of your property that was actually owned, operated inside of Fox, was it just something like, oh, we're just going to be self-referential? We are, and this is, I don't know if you ever thought about this, but we're going to just reference the hell out of this property that we own and keep it in people's thoughts. Did you ever get the feeling like that was actually happening?
No, never had that thought. And you brought up an interesting little conspiracy theory. Yeah, because that makes sense. Let's just throw in some, because we have it, you know, a suit comes in, maybe throw in a pithy Star Wars reference, you know, because the anniversary box set is coming out soon. Hey, you know, so just say, oh, this is like Star Wars. Yeah.
I don't know like scientifically. I mean, it'd be a waste of time, but it'd be interesting for a robot. You know, it'd be a waste of time for a human being to actually go through and look at all the source material, and was this actually occurring on Fox? Was were Fox properties and subsidiaries more able, due to legal reasons, to be able to use it and joke with it? And did, for example, other companies not want to reference it for the plain fact that they don't own it, and they don't have any interest, any monetary interest in actually, you know, advertising this property? But it would be interesting for a robot at some point to go back and look at all the source and see if there's any kind of statistical anomaly that would actually pop up in that. I mean, it would be interesting to know for a fact, I think. But anyway, man, let's fucking cut this thing.
Okay. and we will think of it. Good sign
Well,
off later.
Thanks for chatting and doing this. First of all, because nobody's watching, I'm not going to thank anybody else but you. And,
okay. You're welcome.
And hey, oh, by the way, make sure that you like this and that you subscribe and make sure that you comment on it.
Yeah. And you.
Oh.
You right there. You go at that like button like it owes you money. You smash that like. You press the like button so hard that you literally make a crack in the screen and have to buy a new phone.
That's
how hard I want you to hit that like button. Like you mean it.
Hard.
Don't stop till you see blood and circuits on that like button.
Well, you have a good day. You have a good night. And
I will. I absolutely will.
Later, man. Peace.
Okay. Peace out.